Hello, lovely people. So it's one of these sessions where I'm joined with friends, and I love this. It's not just me sat here rambling. I have lovely friends Chris and Kat with me today. Welcome, both of you.
Thank
And
you.
so we are
Pleasure.
celebrating, as you can see in the background, Chris has made a banner especially, which is amazing. So, yes, I really feel like I'm in the party spirit now. So, we are celebrating 5 years of the Hub platform. And as I say those words out loud, I still can't believe it's been 5 years. 5 years ago that we created a platform for artists to help them make art and get it out into the world, grow confidence, grow community. And we've connected over those years thousands of people together, and we've helped thousands of people from early stages of saying I am an artist out loud to people who are making a living and everyone in between. And it's such an amazing platform that I'm so proud of and so grateful to be part of. I know I created it, but I do feel like I'm part of this community that we've gathered from around the world because it's a really special space, and I'm grateful to everyone who's part of it. And we have people from different backgrounds all around the world. Some people have got education in the arts, some people haven't. Some people are making art out of felt, and some people are using oils. And do you know, that's what I love about our community is that we just don't judge each other. We are accepting of each other. And to say that out loud, it doesn't happen that often in big groups of people, when you bring groups of people together. And I just want to take that moment to say thank you to everyone for being part of that, because it's the community that makes that. And so we are going to be talking today to Chris and Kat about their journeys, very different journeys, because I know you love hearing about other people's journeys and how people make art and what's helped. So let's get stuck in. Kat, shall I start with you? Because um, when what was life like before you joined the hub?
I joined in January 22, and then before then, I'd been, I was, I was in a job that I wasn't happy with.
Yeah,
But I first joined United ArtSpace 2 years ago,
yeah,
during the Kickstart,
yeah,
and I think I
yeah,
am now focusing back on the Lake District Fells, which is what I wanted to do to begin with. But it's
yeah.
been quite a long journey. I've tried couple of other things along the way as well. So
Yeah, well, it does. It's the long game, isn't it? And it's
yeah,
funny you should say that, because I feel I feel the same as you actually this year, in that I'm going full circle back to what I was doing originally. It's a long story, but I feel like sometimes we've got to try things to realize what it is that we want, and sometimes it is what we wanted at the beginning. But there's no point anyone telling us that that's the thing you should do. It's almost like you've got to explore, play, experiment, try it, and then you realize, yeah, it is that. And is that what's happened to you, do you think, that you've got these things out of your system now, and
I
it's brought you
have
back?
in June. I did Sharon's Make Your Mark course,
Mm.
and I've said before that was a huge influence because there are bits of that have tied in with this course as well. So I'm in a
Yeah.
better position this year, having used a bit of
Oh,
everything.
wonderful. So tell us a little bit about your art then. So we know that you like, you walking and mountains, because obviously when I was doing my hike, I saw your messages about, the mountains and things. So tell us a little bit
Yeah,
what you love.
I've progressed a bit more now because I've been hiking the Lake District for 10 years now. Just in sort of April we used to book a holiday, and then through, and I've always sort of taken photos, but I've always wanted to share it somehow. But actually, this is a good time because Saturday the 5th, that's the anniversary of Storm Desmond. In Keswick, that was 2015. So I think I felt a bit deflated this morning. I was going through my notes and thought, oh yeah, of course. And I think we went to Keswick in 2016. That was our turning point really, because I didn't want to be the tourist anymore. I went in January 16, which is just after the floods and everything, and just, you don't think of it as happening in this country. And we stayed at Portinscale, which is about a mile outside. It's just, I got a first-hand look at the sort of devastation, and it's people's livelihoods, and it just made me think. So since then, I've thought, I want to give something back, but how?
Nice. Oh, that's lovely. And so what materials are you using? And have you always used the same materials?
When I was at art college, I was limited because I had eczema, so I was allergic to some of the toxins in the paint.
Okay.
So I tend to use, I've got two styles now. I tend to use pencil crayon, and I've got 4 different sets of pencil crayons now. Christmas 2 years ago, I got a big box of Creative Peak, the wallets, and I started using those, and I thought, and then last Christmas I got some Arteza. So it depends what sort of technique I want, but I've recently changed my styles changed slightly, because I was worried about not having enough texture, so I've been rubbing the top layer off and then working back in with like a heavier one, and that's why it looks a bit different, and it stops it looking flatter. So I've used those, and the acrylics, I don't paint as much as I'd like to, but I tend to use the bold mirror acrylic. It's basic materials basically. So
that's good. And so you're taking your own photographs when you're off on your walks?
I always do, yeah.
Yeah, and I bet you've always done that, have you? Have you always been?
Yeah, don't like ripping things off the internet. I've got various reference books, but I'd rather take my own photos and sort of use that as a basis. And I've got that many. I've been trying to streamline them for the past year. I've got that many. They keep coming up. Oh yeah, it got a bit confusing.
You have to start putting them into sub collections. And what was it about Make Your Mark that helped you? I'm just curious to know what was it from that course, do you think, that really helped you see the clarity of what you wanted to do going forwards?
Some of the structure was like what I did with surface pattern, but that was like 1995, so that's quite a while ago now. But I was able to bring some of that in to the Make Your Mark course. So I've delved into a bit of everything now. So
that's sometimes what you have to do, isn't it? You have to kind of play like Sharon teaches you. Make Your Mark is one of our courses that Sharon teaches, my friend Sharon. And she teaches in that, it's the design cycle. Basically, it's how to use a starting point, and then you play with different materials, and then it's great, because then it brings you back to what you want to do, or takes you to a point that you want to continue it further. So that's really good that you found those influences and you've got that direction now. And what is the hub to you, Kat? How has the hub helped you?
I think it's just generally a really supportive community. And since joining, I've got more of an idea, and the download content. It's just, some people say it's overwhelming, but I just find it quite really inspiring, and just the hub in general. Everyone's just really, really helpful.
Yeah, it is a really, really helpful place. And I just want to say that there is a lot of content inside the hub. I mean, there's 5 years of content. That's why we've built the roadmap. And the roadmap, when you arrive into the hub, we ask you questions, and it then defines the stage that you're at, and then gives you resources just for that stage. So you don't have to worry about all the steps that you need to take. So there are two ways of using it. You can be guided by resources for your stage, or you can just cherry pick. It's a bit like Netflix now, isn't it? I wanted it to look like Netflix, so we redesigned it. I get saying to Andrew, how can we make it look like Netflix? And then we found a way to do it. So yeah, and thank you for being part of it, Kat. It's always amazing to see your lovely posts and comments, and I know you support the community as well. So thank you for that. I do really appreciate you, and it's always nice to see what you're up to as well. If anyone's got any questions, Simone's just said, it's so nice to hear from you, Kat. It's lovely, isn't it, to put faces to the names? Yes. And so, Kat, what are your plans then for, I know we haven't done Best Year yet, but what are you excited to go forwards and do in the future now with your art?
I've actually been inspired by a couple of Hub members as well. That's what I forgot to mention. But I was
Yeah.
looking through and thinking, where can I put my work? Um, but there's been a couple of places, but they're more exclusive to Keswick and Ambleside.
Hmm.
There's Keswick Mountain Festival, which would be good, but they're
Yeah.
not back on. I believe they're not back on till 2024. But it'd be great if I could do something for them. I don't know what yet.
Great. And so, for those who don't know, Kat's referring to a place in the UK, the Lake District, which is very mountainous and beautiful. And are you living very near there, Kat?
No, I'm based in North Leeds, so it's about 2 hours from us.
I can hear your Leeds accent because I lived in Leeds for 10 years. So whenever I speak to someone, my accent starts to come out and I just want to emulate your accent. It's a lovely accent. Oh, thank you so much. We'll come back to you in a minute, Kat, because we've got questions and things coming in. So I'm going to jump to Chris. But before I jump to Chris, I'm just going to just reach out to everyone in the comments and say hello, Sarah. Hello, Simone. Yes, Hub. Red car. Yes, we have this thing around here where when we see a red car, we shout, I am an artist. And my children still do that today in the car. Whenever they see a red car, they shout, I am an artist. Yeah, there's loads of people shouting it. I love it. Hello from Canada. We've got a few people tuning in from Canada today. Hello. Cinder's happy to make it live. Good to have you here. Carol's been sat excitedly waiting since 6 a.m. I love it. Someone said, Chris, that is a lot of colour behind you in that Hub lettering. It is, isn't it? It's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the lovely messages. Oh, Melanie's put here. Because of Best Year, yeah, I am off to Egypt on Tuesday for 2 weeks to meet one of my 5 people and learn from him. Yay! So those who don't know Best Year, yeah, it's a big workshop I run in January, and I'll be talking about that next week. So nice to hear. Oh, I've read that one out already. Rosie says, hello, lovely to join you all. She's saying hello to you all. Joy's in Leeds too. Thought I recognised the accent. Yeah. Hi, Susan. I've just been on a live call with Susan. Nice to see you again. Yeah. Chris, for someone who loves black and white, you have a lot of colour behind you.
I have the big pack of markers.
I love it. Oh, there's another Yorkshire. Hi. Miriam's with us. Hello, Miriam. Teresa's with us. Hi. Laurie. Hello. Glad to be here. It's nice to have you. We've got Deneen tuning in as well. Oh, Miriam's joined the Hub. Yay. Oh, sorry, I've just got the wrong one. Yay. I'm going to come back to you, Jean. Welcome, Miriam. You're going to love it. And then we've got Jean. Hi, Jean. Jean's tuning in from Canada. Lots of Canadians today. I'm a bit late, so heading to the naughty corner. Enjoy it. So, Chris, let's come to you. Oh my gosh. I feel like we could sit here and talk for hours about your journey. And I have to say a big thank you as well for your incredible words of wisdom. I keep screenshotting everything that you say, put it in the words from Chris folder.
Oh, that's kind. That's kind.
Yeah, and thank you, because it's really noted. So, and I do want to dig into some of that wisdom today. But before we do, let's chat about your journey. So you joined us last year, didn't you? And
yeah,
where were you? Yeah. Let's cast our minds back to a year ago and what's happened in between then.
Which feels like 10 years ago.
It does.
So I apologize for any delay. I've been sequestered in the back room because I've had COVID for the last week. And my family all has the flu in the other part of the house. So
oh no.
COVID has saved me from the flu. So, but that's how it started. I got COVID a year ago, and just thought, like, what is the point of like art and life? And I hit rock bottom, and I'm scrolling on Instagram, and Michelle's lovely voice comes out, and her offer to, kind of pull the ability to invest in myself and to make art. And I was like, okay. And and then I sent an email, which I'm so glad I did. But I sent an email to the United ArtSpace and just said, please be real, because I really cannot handle you not being real. And thank God, I have been so. It's been a hard year. I mean, there's been some great things. There's been some hard things. It was such a joy to meet up with everybody in London after, my trip to Europe, and then your trip to Canada, and then being able to just kind of be like, wow, okay, that was a lot. Now let's finish the year off strong.
It was a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and just getting into, I have to say, so having an art degree, right? I've got a bachelor's in drawing and painting, and I went on and I took the roadmap questions, and it said hobbyist, and I went, oh, and it was good. It was perfect because by the definition, I was, and I had made choices in my life that made it that, and I wasn't regretting those choices. It was just genuine. It was just honest, and so I had to sit down and go, okay, what do I do to get out of that into the next thing? And so, and I did, and I just followed the steps to the point. Can I show you something?
Please do.
So when we got back from my trip, I was like, okay, I draw these giant charcoal drawings that are just impractical to sell. And I was like, I need to make prints. So how do I do that? So I reached out to a couple people and just started making mistakes, really. I started like following leads and looking in the phone book and just Michelle's voice saying, what's the next one thing you have to do? I was like, well, I have to look stuff up, and then would call places and be like, well, they're not my people, because my people wouldn't charge me that much. And stumbled across a friend of a friend who is a photograph artist, who does major work all over LA. Turns out he's just a lovely man. Took photos of 3 of my artworks, and then wouldn't charge me for them. Like, he was like, no, we'll deal with that later. I was like, and I sat in his studio for an hour and just thought, I would not be meeting this man if it wasn't for United ArtSpace. And then I was like, okay, I've got the pictures. Now how do I print them? And so it sent me down another road. Well, all that to say, I found an amazing printer in Los Angeles. Just last week, before I got COVID, like the day before I got COVID, I got my giclée prints of my charcoals.
Don't they look amazing? On
really nice paper.
Yeah.
So I've got 3. That was just kind of a test run. It was a good investment. But just those kind of wins that I thought a year ago I would never be at unless I had the roadmap to say, this is, put your foot here, and then put your next foot there. So it has meant the world to me in just being able to empower myself to say, like, you can figure this out. There's people out there doing this. There's no reason why you can't, put your toe in the water, start doing it. So I'm a little shocked at where I'm at now, heading out of this year, heading into next best year yet, and being like, okay, I understand it a little bit better. And next year I'll understand it even better. So just giving myself grace to make mistakes and move forward.
Yeah, it's the long game, isn't it? It's the long game. And I love what you say there about the roadmap, because so when you join the hub, as I said at the beginning, but you may have missed it, we ask you some questions and then we let you know the stage. And some people do get upset when they come in and they're a professional artist and they get put down at the beginner or the hobbyist stage. And I always say to them, just change the name. Just call it number 2 or number 3, because the names are relevant. That's where we're putting you at that stage, and that's the content that's going to help you, because there might be some gaps that you've missed along the way that could really, really help you refine what you're doing or help with your messaging. So thank you for bringing that up, because the roadmap is a guide, but it's very useful, and some people really thrive off that. And I think that's another reason we created it, because it's awful when you kind of just don't know what step to take. You've got just no clue, and then you're paralyzed because you don't know what direction to go in. And that's where the roadmap is amazing, because it just gives you, just pick one thing out of here, spend an hour on it, and you will be making progress.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I know you've found things challenging with time and you're juggling things. Can we speak a little bit to that, Chris, around what you're managing and
Yeah.
the ups and downs of that this year, and how you
Yeah.
may have found some things to help? And
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the the biggest thing has been I've been a homeschooling stay-at-home dad for the last 23 years. So I definitely prioritized my family while still making art, but just at a slower pace because time is time. Um, well, my eldest daughter just got married. My son graduated high school last year. I really have one child at home now, and she's incredibly self contained. So I'm teaching one of her classes. So suddenly I have a lot of time on my hands, and I'm grateful that with United ArtSpace I've been able to at least say like, okay, have a plan, have a plan for this. um, but yeah, there's I think over the last few years feeling like I was pulling from a dry well has been
Mm,
incredibly hard. Uh, so being able to dip in and realize the mindset is huge. Being able to say, "Oh, I'm spinning right now. How do I stop that?"
mm,
Um, I mean, on those really bad times, putting in the program Your Mind for Success that you recorded,
mhm, mhm,
just being able to spend 10 minutes in the morning, just recalibrating, and saying like, okay, everybody's got the same amount of time. I just have to start, using it intentionally. And the
mm,
word intention and consistency were my words for this year. And I, maybe did like 20%, but it's probably 20% more than I've done in my life before. So it's just dealing with, what I'm starting to see is a very scattered brain, and the bonuses to that, but also the traps that can happen. And time management can be something that is tricky for that. So yeah, I'm learning. I'm learning.
yeah, and I continue to learn that too. Absolutely. And so the direction now for your artwork, where are you taking things in the future? What have you
Yeah.
started to
Well,
plans
I'm still
toward?
trying to get a collection of these large charcoals together, and
Mhm,
developing my who and my why, which is, like I said the other day when you said your why will change. You kind of think my why is going to be my foundation, but it's really more of a starting point. So I'm trying to. There's a gallery that opened up in a city near me that looks really fantastic. So getting different price points and
mhm,
being able to organize my work better and present it in a way when somebody's interested to have it ready to sell instead of like pushing them off for a couple of months.
mm,
So it's organizing. It's organizing, which has not been a strength, but it's something that I can learn how to do.
mm,
Um, so I think heading into the next year, it's making sure that I can get these prints and have different price points instead of just the one large price point, but I can
mhm.
still have that large price point for somebody who wants to own it. Um,
Yeah, and
so
it's about
just
getting out
definitely,
there.
yeah, with a more intentional business framework.
Yeah. And so how has the hub helped you in the biggest way, do you think? What's been the biggest transformation for you in terms of being part of the hub?
I mean, definitely the relational aspect of it, because all of what we're doing is relational, whether we're just drawing our pictures, but being able to find a community like this, which yes, is very special.
Mm,
Being an artist for the last 30 years, there's so much ego. There is so much ego
mm,
out there because people are hurting and they want validation, and they want to know that what they're doing is okay and that they're great and that they're and coming into the hub and on good days and bad days saying, uh, I tripped up here, or I had this win, and everybody's just, I love it when people say, I haven't posted anything yet, and the response is like, welcome to the party. you
yeah.
know uh, and it's just been really nice, and the team does a good job of making sure that the parameters stay healthy and consistent. And so it's really the relational aspect of it. I think it's been nice to find that those cycles that I go through are very familiar to everybody, and being able to share that and to support each other, it's meant the world to just kind of feel like you're not wandering around in the desert, but that there's there's a tribe of us out here in the desert. So
and then you've also got to make friends around the world and actually meet them in person this year. So we do have member meetups. We used to do a lot before COVID, and we want to start doing more next year. But yeah, you got to meet, because you were traveling in Europe, and you got to meet other Hub members as well, which was amazing. And I got to meet Chris too, which was lovely. And it's
I'm sorry. I still see those pictures come up, and I'm like, I was really like, I was with all those people. I mean, there's those photos of us wandering around St. James Park. It's been, so it's unreal, but it's a nice treat to have that relationships.
Yeah, and what you say about the community and being able to just come in and share the struggles and the wins and the mistakes, that's something that we really do not celebrate, but we do we accept our mistakes and we learn from them. And that's one big thing we like to do inside the Hub is, be open to make mistakes, and rather than kind of beat ourselves up over making them, it's acknowledging that we did it and then learn from it, and that goes on a lot inside the community. And it's also, I think, really lovely to just see something that came up last week was someone said to me that they get a lot of from the questions that are asked inside the group. So when you might not be somebody who partakes inside communities, and that might worry you that I'm not going to get anything out of this because I don't comment. But someone said to me they sit and observe and they read other people's questions, and they get so much from other people's questions and the way that other people answer. And I remember the day when when the Hub was very tiny and it was just me running it, and I'd be in there answering all the questions. And I remember the day where it just started to become apparent that people were actually listening to my lessons, because when I saw people reply, I'd be like, that's come from the lesson. And then someone else would reply. And then it was like I created a load of mini-me's. And I'd see these responses and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud. Like they are listening and taking it in and now giving back. And that was the most amazing part for me, I think, was to see the community not just learn, take and leave, which is fine, by the way, you can do that. But there was this real amazingness of people learning and taking time to give back to each other and share that knowledge. And that's, again, why it's so special, isn't it?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. And Kat, you're one of those people as well, where you've really, you give back and share and
I do.
Yeah, and you probably had people do the same for you, haven't you, on your post?
I have done. Yeah, there have been sort of a couple of occasions. I think there was, is it Melanie? She went to Coniston, I think, and then when she was posting her photos, there was one she'd posted, and I thought, I'm sure that's near Easdale Town, which is where I've been. Yeah. So she was partially part of my inspiration. And then there's another Hub member, Simon. He does all the rocky ravines in Corsica. He's been an inspiration as well. So there have been about 3 or 4, and I thought, yes, I can relate to that.
Oh, wonderful. It's so nice. Well, I'm going to read some of the comments out. It's just flashed up saying there's an issue streaming to Facebook. No idea why. This is Facebook for you. I think it's gone down. Oh no, it's back. Is it? No, we might not be actually live on Facebook at the moment. It might just be on YouTube. Right, let's keep going because we are still live somewhere. So anyone on Facebook, it might have just dropped off. It says it's Facebook's problem. So anyway, right, let's move on. So you're in Washington State, huge snowstorm where you are, so everything is closing. Oh my gosh, Cinder, that's crazy. So able to slow down, enjoy, and you're going to slow down, take these moments to slow. Oh, it's so good to see you too. Sapna's joined us in the Hub. Hi Sapna. So Sapna took the 7 Keys course, and Sapna, I know you're going through a really exciting time at the moment where you're now putting yourself out into the world. And I just want to say that you'll have lots of questions that come up along the way, and that reassurance, and to remember that the hub is a place that you can get that reassurance, because sometimes you think you're asking a question that's really simple, or you just sometimes you just need someone say, yes, you've got this, it's okay. So remember that the hub is there for that, because I know that you're pushing yourself out there at the moment, and it can make you feel vulnerable. So remember that the hub is there for you in those times. And Elizabeth is with us. Hello, it's lovely to see you on a live too. I'm panicking with last minute preparations for an art market at the weekend. Oh, we're sending you all the vibes. I just want to say as well how within our community, I mean, there is lots of fear at the moment around people not buying, and the cost of living and all of this. And it can be really worrying, and it can, without a doubt, affect people's sales. But we are seeing so much success inside the hub platform, and it is really proof that it's still possible, and the art world is never going to die. And even if we can get through these times together, we can get through anything together. So but anyway, all the best of luck, Elizabeth, with your market at the weekend. Simon says, I love what Chris says about, yes, please be real. Yeah, I'm glad you said that as well, because there are a lot of people out there that, you know, unfortunately say they know how to help people, and they can help you make $1 million in 6 days and all the things now, which is very sad to see. So we do get that. We've noticed that now, actually, when we attract people, that's the biggest worry, is that it's some kind of con. Yeah. But like Simone says, oh, Michelle is real, baby. I love it. So Mackenzie Studio says, oh my God, me too, Chris, BFA, and I came out as a hobbyist. I was like, WTF, stupid test. But then I realized that's exactly what I am. Yeah. So yeah, I just want to talk to that for a minute as well, because I think when people come in to take the questions, they sometimes think it's related to their ability, you know, in making art, and it's not that. It's about how you are applying your art and putting it out there and speaking about it and all those things. And that's why it puts you down maybe at that end, and you think you should be down the other end. And it's just making sure then that you have those foundations in place. So I'm glad that that you've come round to it, the stupid test. I love that. We do now put a disclaimer in at the beginning saying, you know, it might offend you, but it's not here to offend you, it's here to help you.
And what's nice about it is that feeling of offense, it helps you to really take stock of what you're calling your priority. So you've invested in the hub, right? So you're saying my priority is this thing. And then the test says, well, let's see how much of a priority it's been. And that's totally fine. It's totally good to feel that reaction and work from it is an honest place. So I really appreciated it.
Yeah, you were saying something about this the other day. It's just reminded me of your words of wisdom. And it was about how, you know, we talk about reframing a lot, but there was something that you said, I'm not sure if you'll be able to remember now, but how just noticing how we react to something. And I think it was around, you were saying something around whether it serves you or...
the unintentional.
Can we talk about that for a minute? Because that was really good.
I think what I was referring to was we had hired a life coach to help me with my clutter problem, and she was kind of teaching me about unintentional thoughts that we have and how we find evidence for those things. And it's very easy to kind of fall into that rhythm, but then to learn like, well, I can have an intentional thought, which is just mindset stuff. And then to start finding the truth behind those things, and even maybe they're not totally true, but that doesn't mean that they can't be true. So you can actually start to invest in those, invest your energy in something that's actually going to give rather than take. So being able to say, I can do hard things. I've done hard things in the past. I can do hard things in the future, instead of saying this is too hard, because those give you very different energies. So being able to just let go of that one and say like, that's not helpful. That's not gonna move me forward. And sometimes we need to sit in that stuff, but not for too long. That's why having friends who say like, okay, that's enough. Let's get going again is really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that when I'm hiking, I like to do the sort of the cinder track, but when it's on the flat, I'm not challenging myself. So you need to challenge yourself and do something to make yourself feel sort of above yourself, if you know what I mean, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's lots of parallels between walking and life.
Yeah,
I know
there
when
is.
you look at, yeah, and doing those things, absolutely. And yeah, it's something that I'm exploring a lot recently, and I've shared in one of the podcasts, around these unintentional thoughts, and I see it especially around the topic of money as well, where if we have a show, for example, and it doesn't sell, it can send us into a panic, and before we know it, we can convince ourselves that we are doomed, that it's us, we're a bad omen, or that this isn't going to work out for me. It can really quickly spiral into, I might as well just stop and give up. And that can happen in a matter of minutes, but even worse is when it festers over a few days and a week. And that's where Chris's advice is really great, because like you say, it's okay to have those moments where we spiral and we think the worst, but it's recognizing that and trying to pull ourselves out of that as quickly as possible, because those thoughts aren't serving us. And it's about, right, okay, this happened. Now what can I do? what's my next one step? Thoughts that serve you, rather than, like you say, those energies around what you say is really important. That was the Words Matter podcast that I did the other day, which oh, Chris, you flipped around. The sign has flipped. There you go. You're back. You're back to the other way around. Simon, hello, Simon. Good to see you here. I spent a long time, over a year, observing Michelle and United ArtSpace to come to the conclusion that you guys are for real and trustworthy. So having come this far with free courses, now was the moment to really invest in the hub. Oh my gosh, Simon, you're joining us. Oh my gosh, that's giving me goosebumps, because I've known you and I've seen your comments now for the last year as well, and I've known that you've had reservations. So now you're joining is the best news ever. Yay. I will see you in there, Simon. But I just want to add something on the back of that comment, actually. We've lost Chris, but Chris, your screen's gone off, but we might still be able to hear you. But you know what Simon's just said there around observing for over a year now, because of the trust thing. And as artists, it's really important for us to realize that this is the reality on social media at the moment. And your followers might need to come round to the fact of, are you real? Are you a real artist? Am I able to trust this person? And so that's where showing up, and I know it's difficult. We had a review session earlier with some of our members talking about social media, and it can be disheartening when you're posting and you don't get any likes, and you post again and you feel like it's a complete waste of time. But often there are people observing, there are people following you, and they are taking their time, and one day they will probably buy from you. And so I share this because we do want instant results, and quite often it is the long game. It's the long game of building relationships, it's the long game of being visible, having conversations. And that's a great example, Simon. Thank you for sharing, because it's equally the same for all of you as well with your audience and your customers. So especially nowadays, because there are so many people in the world selling things. And that's another point, to just keep showing up, even if you think that no one's listening. There's usually someone is, and not everybody likes and comments on posts either. Yes, giving grace. Isn't that lovely? A lovely term. Hello, Mary. Susan says, yeah, it's so encouraging to hear Kat and Chris's stories. I'm hoping that, like Chris says, I can be in a different place this time next year. Really looking forward to being part of the community. Oh, Susan, so good to have you join us. Let me just see. Sue says, what is BFA? Here to help me decide if I should join the hub. Oh, yeah, Bachelor of Fine Arts degree. Someone's added the reply to that one there. And Sue, if you have any questions for us, please fire away. We have two of our members. Chris, I think has just dropped out. He's in the back room, so he might have lost connection. But please ask us any questions if we can. We're here to help you. Let me see. Yeah, what other competencies I have developed? I've always and will always consider myself a beginner. Oh yeah, absolutely. We're always learning, aren't we? It's a big lifelong beginner that I have kept my childlike enthusiasm. Love that. I am. That's enough. Labels are for others. Yeah. Yeah. And we do have those terms on the roadmap. But like I say, you can just make up your own term for it. We've just called it, the beginner, the hobbyist, emerging, words that kind of generalize what that stage is, but you can just rename them. Chuck them out the window. It's what you do that matters. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Mary, wonderful. Those are the things you helped me with. Oh. Let me just see. Oh, hi, Colin. Colin's back. What's the weather update? We always get a nice weather update. It's grey and mild in Wellingborough, and I've just got in from a shopping trip with her gorgeousness, my wife. Oh, hello, wife, if you're watching. I'm so glad I've caught a bit of this live. Shift is over in a bit. Make room. Oh, in the naughty corner. Pam says, I've lost the plot and I need to start at the beginning again. I have part of a website and Instagram that I'm not sure how to use. Going back to all the lessons, so please, they are there. Oh, Pam, that's great. We're there to help you. Everything is relational. Yes. Oh, Deneen, yes. Yeah, you'll be able to meet the other hubsters inside the community. Lucia, hello. Chris, listen to Chris has made me think about another year in the hub. Oh, wonderful. I need to do exactly what he said. Nicely put, Chris. Yay, we'd love to have you back for another year. Yeah, it looks like we disappeared off Facebook. Facebook. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I've got such a terrible cough. Yeah, when you get those rejections, which will happen, because if you're not getting rejected, you're not putting yourself out there enough. So that's the fact. So you will get rejected, yeah, and that's another reason why we wanted to create that space on those days when you just don't know what to do, or awful news has come in and you need people to just, encourage you to keep going, or we've had it before where people think they know where they're going and then their why changes and they're freaking out and they're like, oh my gosh, I can feel things changing. I don't know what to do. And because you will change as an artist. And so, yeah, it has been great for people to have that support in the community. Rewarding but challenging. Yes, it is challenging. Yeah, we're not going to sugarcoat it. It's not easy. Ah, Chris is back.
Sorry.
Yay. Yeah, Simon says, it took me absolutely ages to be able to participate comfortably in online interactions, courses and communities. Lurking, observing stage is really an important part of learning. Yeah, sitting back and taking it in and processing. I am a bit like that now, actually. When I take part in courses, I used to be the opposite. I would be the one steaming in, asking all the questions and, being the cheerleader and cheering everyone on. And now I'm in a stage of my life where I quietly contemplate. I don't know if it's because I have my own communities and I'm, my life is full. But I definitely sit back a little bit more now and process. But yeah, it is interesting though to think that this is how our customers feel too. So oh, hello. So you're tuning in from Cyprus. Oh, it must be nice and warm where you are, I would imagine. No, you cannot learn without making mistakes. You can't make progress without taking risks and letting go. Absolutely. You're going to be so amazing in the hub, Simon. Sheena says, hi to everyone from Berkshire. Looking forward to working through the hub content. I just joined the US community in May. Oh, it's been incredible. Oh, I'm so glad that you're enjoying it. I think people are back, yes. Yeah, Facebook just decided to stop, so I think everyone's jumped over to YouTube. Tanya's been away, starting to get back into it again. Brilliant. Yes, Susan. Yeah, not everybody is commenting, remembering that. I've had people tell me this, that they've said that everything's been quiet, and then somebody will get a sale and they say, yes, I've been following you for 6 months now, and they go, what? I've never seen you in my life or seen your name prop up, because not everyone's sitting there commenting. Especially when it comes to buying art as well, you kind of sometimes, just observing. So Simon's had years having dialogues with artists and gallery owners. Wonderful. Let me just see.
It's remarkable too over the last year to see the people who joined around the same time I did, and to watch we talked about David and just getting the Naughty Quarter printout. I mean, going, I mean, that was very inspirational to me, because I was like, we can figure this out, so he figured out how to reproduce, how to package, how to ship, and he's on a roll right now. I mean, he's just doing a great job. And to be able to say, like, I am inspired by and motivated by that. You see that with Simon, with Chris, with Amanda, all people who I've kind of interacted with in different platforms. It's been essential to me to kind of have that, to see that happening in other people too, and to reflect and say, like, I think it's happening with me. So
yeah, because we don't see it ourselves, do we? We see it in other people. We see the small, medium, large steps that people are taking, and we recognize it in others, but we don't often see it in ourselves, especially if there's no tangible output and it's the inner work that we're doing. And yeah, it is incredible to see. And I think that's another thing around the hub, and being surrounded by people that are making strides in completely different ways. And it's so heartwarming, especially David, who was adamant, I'm never going to sell my artwork. And it's so incredible to see. He's doing it on his own terms, in his own way. And that just shows you can sell art in any way you like. And you don't have to make a fortune out of it and pay all your bills with it if you don't want to. And David doesn't want to do that. He's selling it in his way, on his terms, and it's sold all around the world. And that's great. Let me just check the comments and then we'll start to wrap up, because I think my throat is about to give up. I've been talking for about 4 hours today because I did a big studio session before this, a webinar. Let me just check. Simon says, I did the questionnaire twice so that I moved in a few moments from hobbyist to aspiring. Brilliant progress. But also it's very satisfying when you move through the stages. And it is, yeah, that was all down to us. Oh, Jean says, the hub is such a caring, supportive community. Love the feedback I get. It's moving me forward in a positive way despite my wobbles. Yeah, and we all have those wobbles, don't we? Visible Soul is asking about best year yet. Enrollment has not started for best year yet. So after this week, I'll have all the links for best year yet, which starts on the 6th of January for anybody that wants to take part in that. It's a 2-week So the difference between the best year yet, the 7 keys, and the hub. So basically, I have got a document somewhere that tells you the difference. It's on the website as well. If you go onto our website, we tell you the difference. So basically, best year yet is a 2-week workshop where we plan the year ahead, and it's how to design your own life and have your best year yet. So that's what we're focused on, planning for the year. The 7 keys course is all about how to create your success plan. It takes you through the 7 keys that I created to help you start to figure out what you want to put out into the world, why you make art, who is it for, where are you putting it, how do you speak about your work, how do you price it, how do you sell it, and ultimately then creating your success plan, which is a business plan. And then the hub is ongoing support. So the other two are courses. The hub is a subscription-based membership where you can get ongoing support, because what we find is some people are fine to go off on their own and figure it out, but a lot of people want what we've been talking about. They want a space to come and ask a question. Something's happened and they go, I don't know what to do. What do I do? And then everyone comes in and helps. And we have resources every month from guest experts. We have the roadmap to help you through the stages. So yeah, that's the difference, but it is on the website. Yes. If you've got any more questions though, let me know. Oh, thank you, Miriam. Yeah, the community is heaven on earth. Absolutely. Well said. So, right, we'll start to wrap up. Chris, have you got any final thoughts for anyone who's maybe sitting there worried, thinking, "What is this hub? I don't know if I should join." Do you have any words for anybody that would maybe be thinking about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think going forward, just kind of suspend judgment for a little bit. You know, don't come to any sort of conclusions about. Just see what's going on. You know, it's totally fine some days to just sit there and say, like, who are these people, and get an experience of how we treat each other, and how we support each other. So just, you know, it's a good idea to not make any large conclusions at this point, because you're doing something new. When you do something new, you're gonna want to make some sort of declaration on it being good or bad, but just let it be what it is, and you know, sit in that for a little while and get familiar. It's really taking me about a year to understand some of the workings, and to figure out, you know, there's so much offered, and it's great because it's a deep well to be able to drink from. It can be overwhelming at first though, so being able to just let it soak into you over time and dip in as you can. And there's some days where I will just listen to podcast after podcast, and then I'll take a little break to digest it. So be kind to yourself, and just, you know, be as kind to yourself as you would to a dear friend who's struggling, and just, you know, breathe.
Thank you. That's lovely. Thank you for saying that. And actually, we have a members only podcast coming out, which is so exciting. So members will get more content via podcast as well. Sweet. So you can listen to, which we're just about to work on. We'll hopefully have that launched by the end of the year. So exciting. Kat, how about you? Have you got any words of wisdom for anyone who's maybe thinking of joining? Or
I'd say expect the unexpected. This time last year, I was in the same position. I was thinking about it the other week, and this time last year, I was like, why can't I be one of these hub members? But as I've joined in January, an example is prior to the 7 keys, I was looking at the elements of 4 of the national parks in the UK, which got a bit confusing. But then I joined the 7 keys course, so I was able to sort of like, right, which one really inspires me, and sort of drill down. So you will find things eventually, but I think when I was looking at Snowdonia last year, I was trying to put all my eggs in one basket. I thought, no, you've got to try a few different things, but just do it.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. It's the best thing I've done.
Oh, I'm so glad that you're a hubster now, Kat.
Oh.
It's amazing to have you both in the community. Thank you. And I really appreciate you both coming here and taking time to speak with our amazing audience as well. And we're sorry about the glitches. The feed dropped off Facebook halfway through and then came back. So I'm not sure what happened there. It did say it was Facebook's fault. So I'll just say that.
My daughter's on her way to her art class, and so she was texting me. So I wanted to just say hi to Elia because she was watching too. So
hi, Elia. Amazing. Oh, nice to see you. Thank you everyone for tuning in. So the hub is closing for enrollment tomorrow. So if you'd like to join us, you can learn more. The link is up above. My throat is going. You can hear now. I'm going to have to wrap up. Thank you everyone for taking part and joining. And thank you to my amazing guests. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.